Baby, thank you for just being here with me. Today I'm going to talk about a topic that's really super dear and close to my heart. It's about how I left my abusive relationship, and this was the super, don't watch this, do not watch this video if you are not used to graphic or violent talk, okay? Because I'm gonna keep it real, I'm gonna speak from my heart, and I'm gonna be authentic when it came to everything that happened. And moral of the story is you can make it through anything. You can make it through any kind of brutal relationship, and I promise you can leave. I promise you can leave. Okay, you're not stuck there. So this moral of the whole entire story that I'm about to tell you, as violent as it is, as rated R as it is you can turn any of your wounds into wisdom, and you can alchemize. You can turn any wound into your strength. And that is the moral of this whole entire story, okay? You can make it through anything, baby, and you can come out a phoenix rising, okay? Hi, my beautiful baby. How's it going on this gorgeous, beautiful, God bless day in Mr. Rogers' neighborhood? I know my day's going super amazing, super happy. I actually canceled plans today to talk to y'all today about an important, beautiful, oh my gosh, you guys, I'm talking and I forgot the fucking microphone. Fuck, one second. Okay, let's test this again because this is honestly, oh my God, story of my life. Let's test this again. Is this working? Is this working? Let's test this again. Is this working? I'm so happy you could be here with me today. I had all this black lipstick right before I shot, right before I pressed yes on the camera. I had all this black lipstick on my teeth. So tell me if I get black lipstick on my teeth or on my chin. When I eat, when I go out and eat, you guys, I can't wear like purple or black lipstick if I'm gonna be talking lots because it gets on my chin, because that's just what happens when you have big lips, okay? All right, so my beautiful baby, thank you for just being here with me. Today I'm going to talk about a topic that's really super dear and close to my heart. It's about how I left my abusive relationship, and this was the super, don't watch this, do not watch this video if you are not used to graphic or violent talk, okay? Because I'm gonna keep it real, I'm gonna speak from my heart, and I'm gonna be authentic when it came to everything that happened and all the physical abuse and all the, what was worse, I would have to say what was worse out of anything was the mental and emotional abuse. Like, I would rather get 20 lickings any day than to go through someone psychologically fucking you up. All right, so this is how it started. Okay, so this was like, I've been in abusive relationships, not only this one, but this by far was like the Bowser of, you know, Super Nintendo, and you have the ultimate Bowser test. So it's really a learning experience, and I will never go back and I'll never regret like, oh my gosh, I wish I never got into that relationship. Oh my gosh, I wish that never happened to me, because then it would have never made me the person I am today. Then it would have never made me the best counselor I am today, what I do for a living, okay? So I was a teenager. Let's take it on back. Let's take it on back. Okay, so I was a teenager and I met this guy at a wedding, and I was with my mama. She was getting drunk off Tennessee whiskey, and my baby sister, oh yeah, okay, this is a memory for y'all. My baby sister, Timmy, I didn't know that the punch had whiskey in it. I had no idea the wedding punch had whiskey in it. And I was like, here's your coleslaw and your chicken, or whatever, I don't know, mashed potatoes. And I put, oh, and here's some punch, baby. And she was sitting beside me, and we were just eating. And of course I was drinking. I think I was like 18. I was drinking. My mama was somewhere dancing, partying, drinking also. I take my kuko, my grandmother is my mother. And she was beside me, and the whole time I was like, why are you being strange? Why are you acting like she was zoned out? Here I kept giving her cups of fucking whiskey, like, oh my God, but it was total accident. My baby, she's 7, oh my God. Praise the Lord, let me go to heaven. That was total accident, like, honestly. Okay, anyways, I digress. So I was at that wedding. It was Mooney and who else wedding? I forget. Been to so many. I used to be a wedding singer when I was a teenager. So we're at the wedding and I got pickled and I seen this really super hot guy, and as usual, I'm just a muckatoon, in my language, big mouth. And I hit on him, I guess, at the door. I was like, dang, who the fuck is this fine ass? Something along those lines at the door, because he was a good looking SOB. I'm serious, he was. Back in the day when we were teenagers, now he's not. Now, if you notice, if you look at all the most brutal bullies when you guys were little, who bullied you, who tormented you, all your abusers, look at them now. Tell me in comments on the bottom, look at them now. How did they end up? How did they end up? Are they successful? Are they shiny and sparkly? Your most violent abusers when you were younger, how did they end up? Tell me. How did they end up? They don't fucking end up anywhere. Their glory days were in high school or elementary. That was the glory days. You'll see them at the local town bar 20 years, 30 years later, still talking about their glory days 40 years ago. Big ass, unhealthy looking ass body, okay? Because you are what you manifest. And if you're a really ugly person and violent, because it is free will choice, you don't have to be that way, you're gonna end up looking the way you look, okay? For example, look at all the serial killers in the world. Look at them. They look like some Tales of the Crypt Keeper looking motherfuckers, okay? So when you're bullied younger, just let it go. Because karma, baby, karma's a bitch if you're a bitch. And most of the bullies from the past, or your tormentors, your violent abusers, are always going to end up reaping what they sow. That's just the law of the universe. So never hold resentment. Never hold malice or anger or try to get revenge, because that stuff is going to hurt you more than it hurts your abusers, okay? So this is speaking from experience. Okay, so back to how I left my abusive relationship. So whatever, shot my shot, whatever, and this was back in the day with High Five. Do you guys remember High Five and Bebo? All right, MSN Messenger. This was before blueberries. Blueberries, blackberries. This is before blackberries. This is so fucking embarrassing. This was back in the day when smoke signals. So he had to smoke signal my ass for me to like come village to village. He was actually living in Muskeg Reservation. He was the chief's son. I was living in Mr. Wass's village. With my mama in the village, right in the heart and center of the village, where you see all the action and you can see when the popo pulls up and tases somebody. That was us. We lived in the prime time village, okay? All right, so so it was this big gathering in the local town where the people meet together, because, you know, we're not just going to show up at a town hall like in each other's reservation. It's like a hood. That person's hood, that person's hood. Almost every reservation beefs with one another almost in some way, shape, or form, but we all marry each other. So at the end of the day, you know what I mean? Just like any place. So whatever. So he ended up at my house. I guess my mom had a fucking lit party because I woke up in her bed next to my sister at 3 a.m. and they were of course listening to country music. I think Loretta Lynn and frickin' who else were they listening to? That guy who sings Golden Rings. What's his name again?
Golden ring with one tiny little stone waiting.
I don't know, but that guy who sings Golden Rings from back in the day, he's like 5'6". So they were singing country music and I can hear my mom just going to town singing. And in Saskatchewan, I don't know if y'all know this, there's the sun doesn't go down. I think, okay, for back home since I was born, the sun only goes down in the summertime for like 1 hour, if that. So people party for 24/7 for like ever because the sun never goes down. That's why you need to have like really dark drapes and stuff like that to really go to bed if night shift. Okay, so my mama, I woke up and she was going to ham, singing and going ham, and all of a sudden I woke up and I came out and they were still partying or whatever, and I came out and that hot guy from the hall, super, you know, and there's colorism within Native American First Nations cultures, and he's light-skinned, blue eyes, beautiful, tall, gorgeous, athletic, just handsome, and rich family, you know what I mean? So my mama was singing next to him, so I was like, dang, co-signing. So everybody, there's this big party at my house, there's another party down the block, there's another party up the hill, which got crazy that night. Actually, 3 people got shot up in the house up the hill and killed, like straight up rifle. And of course the cops took like 24 hours to finally pull up, you know what I mean? So of course we're gonna cover the bodies with sheets and stuff like that, because why the fuck would we just disintegrate and leave them all shown all bloody and guts out? So the person that did murder, the party, my friends, my cousin Dwayne Badger, all of them up the hill, never got prosecuted because the cops always take 24 hours to respond. So if y'all want to get away with murder, go to the reservation. That's how, okay? They don't give a fuck if my people die or not. Okay, anyways, so we were chilling, the guy was at the thing, and that's how I met him. I was like, oh my gosh, it's meant, he's sent from God. My mom is co-signing on it. He seems like a really cool guy. I found out that week, or no, I bounced back to my father's reservation, flying dust, and then I guess the guy, he found my messenger, he inboxed me. He's like, hey, what's up? I'm that guy. Do you want to go on a date? And I was like, okay. He's like, hey, when are you in Saskatoon? I'll take you on a date. And I was like, okay, I'll be in Saskatoon this weekend. I can be there this weekend. So I went with my cousin Connie to Saskatoon, the local city. It's like 3 hours away. And he came pick me up and we went on a date. And we hung out every single weekend. So it was kind of like a fairy tale in the beginning. This is actually a really classic narcissistic case. So he wined and dined me, he paid for everything all the time, but I was never broke bitch, okay? Let's get that stated. My dad always kept bans on me. My dad would not ever let me leave the house without a lot of cash. My dad always made sure I was covered. My dad did not want me to be a bum bitch. That's why he really loved and respected this guy, because he was like from a really high family and he was like successful and light skin. I don't know, he just looked like, smelled like money and success, which, you know, his family is all about that, right? So in the beginning, classic, they will cover themselves, the classic abuser, and really pull out all the stops, say what you gotta say. Underlining though is the insidiousness. So these master manipulators, these abusers they pull out all the stops, and the slowly insidious part comes out slowly. Like you start to really see the shade and the shadow. So he would come and he would actually, I didn't fuck him till, after like 4 weekends together. So I was always sleeping at his house. I think it was 5 weekends, and I was the one who initiated it. Like I was like, hey, you gonna put out? So I grabbed his wiener because it was getting hot and heavy, and I was like, okay, bitch. So I just went for the ringer. So I initiated it, and yeah, he put out. So I remember that moment. It was like we spent 5 weekends in. It was the 5th weekend, and I think it was like 5 o'clock in the morning. So, and I found out within that time frame actually that he had, what did he have? He had a girlfriend prior, just like right before me, or maybe even during me, I'm thinking, and they had just broken up, and she was a really pretty girl. She had hair past her ass. She was a really pretty girl. And, so all the talk was, oh, Cherish is seeing so-and-so. Let's call him so-and-so. Cherish is seeing so-and-so. Yet he has a girlfriend. Okay, I'm checking on my teeth, you guys. Teeth check. But he has a girlfriend. Wasn't he just with Marla? Let's call the broad Marla. Wasn't he just with Marla? And everyone kept saying that. I was like, nah, he's not with Marla. He's with me. I'm pretty sure he was just talking with Marla. And so I found out who this girl was, and the rumors kept going around. So the shadiness, the cheating, just was really hitting me kind of. I didn't know if I was the homewrecker or if they had what I found out from this Marla girl actually was that he had just broken up with her because she had just left him because he was too violent. So she was older. She was like 10 years older than me. Also, this guy, so-and-so, Mr. So-and-so, he's also 10 years older than me. He was 10 years older than me. I was 18 and he was 28 years old. And she was around that age range. They were around the same age range. And what I found out was she had actually left him because he was too violent or too big of a slut. So yeah, so that was good for her for leaving the relationship, because then I got it. Fuck. So yeah, so he was such a good, handsome devil. You know that song, You're So Vain? He definitely was just hurt people. I'll get into the psychology of why he was so fucked up also later on from my standpoint, but it was the worst relationship I've ever been in, you guys. It was like, I think just over a year. It was almost a year. Yeah, it was over a year relationship, almost a year and a half actually. And it was so like Ike and Tina. Like, I'm serious. If you guys have ever watched What's Love Got to Do With It, Tina Turner actually gets into a relationship with Ike when she's 17 years old. He already has a whole ass family and is married. And his wife with his kids actually confronted Tina and Ike about having an affair together, and Ike beat the shit out of her with the fucking wire hanger or clothes hanger, beat her up because he was like, oh no, I'm not with Tina, but he really was. Tina was actually the other woman in that relationship, his first wife's relationship. So Tina actually broke up the marriage, which I am judging because she was a young, lost, never had no dad in her life, just a young lost person or whatever. So it is what it is. So what happened was Ike's first wife, actually, after he beat the shit out of her in front of Tina and whatever, the kids probably, she went into the bathroom and she shot herself and she committed suicide. And that is how Tina ended up with Ike. Okay, it was by default. It was like really horrific. That is one part they don't have in the movie. If you don't believe me, just Google it. It's in like the life story. So anyways, it was really volatile. After that, it was like I would find he was having an affair with the girl at the grocery store. He was having an affair with random chicks in Edmonton. He was having an affair with random chicks in Saskatoon. I hung out with him in Saskatoon. Actually, who walked me down the aisle for my graduation was my father and my mother. They walked me down the aisle, thank God, because don't ever get a fucking snotty ass kid or your high school girlfriend to walk you down. Always get your person who raised you to walk you down the aisle, because those are lifers, okay? That's unconditional soulmate love. So my father walked me down the aisle when I did my graduation. So when people are like, oh, your father's in the spirit world, are you sad that he won't ever walk you down the marriage aisle? My dad's with me every day. My dad's with me yesterday. I see my dad all the time, okay? He's with me all the time. So even the night of my graduation, he was like, all my cousins seen him kissing a chick at the club. We were at a club and my cousins never even told me. They never even told me or disclosed to me. And I was just like, why would you guys, like, everybody knew he was shady and I was just gallivanting him around so proud, looking like a fool, when my cousins, none of them even told me, oh, he was at the club kissing someone, we just didn't want to tell you. And I'm like, why the f you guys never tell me? So that's one thing I always hold near and dear to my heart, is I will always tell people if I know their man's a shady ass bitch, and I don't care how much you hate me or you ostracize me or you kick me out of your life, I did my due diligence by telling you the truth, okay? Why? Because I've been that fool. I've been in that side where everybody knew my man was having an affair except me. Don't let me be the last to know. Britney Spears. Did you guys ever listen to that song? Don't let me be the last to know, Britney Spears.
Don't let me be the last to know.
No, but serious, I was so mad. I was like, why would you guys do that to me? It's so, you guys could have saved me so much. Like that, I felt almost betrayed from my own family. What honor do you owe this SOB to lie to me, to not tell me that he was cheating on me? What honor do you owe him to not tell me the truth? Like, are you kidding me? Bruh. So yeah, so I found emails. He would leave his email open, and I found emails from the girl he works with saying, oh, is it true that I F you better than Cherish? Oh, is it true that I do it better than Cherish? Is it true I do this better than Cherish? Oh, wasn't it good last week? Like, he was having an affair on me. And then I was get these emails to mine saying, yo, I'm Patricia from North Battleford, represent, you better watch yourself. I've been having an affair with him for 20, well, not 20, but like 2 years, and it's not going to stop. And if I see you, it's on site. And I was like, okay, bring it. Bring it. Like, I was such a violent, high offense teenager. I didn't give it, like, I was like, okay, sure, on site, whatever. And it was just probably just some made up chick, because I went to North Battleford. I asked around, yo, do you guys know this person? And my sister, everyone was like, that's made up. That's made up. That's fake. That's fake. It's just some, yeah. So it got down to he was having an affair after the year, and you know, he would always tell me things like, you're just gonna end up on welfare with 5 kids, nobody's gonna want your ass, all your people, he was racist against his own people also, all your people just end up like with 5-6 kids on welfare, that's it, nobody will want your ass. That's the kind of things he would beat down and he would say to me all the time, because there's a stereotype that my people, we just have 6-7 kids, a lot of baby daddies, we live off the government, and that's it. And he would perpetuate, he would kick that in my head all the time. You ain't gonna be shit. We would be watching a really cool movie. We'd be watching like a really awesome, and I would be like, oh my gosh, that movie stuff. And this one time I didn't even say anything. His brother was like, holy, Cherish just likes that vampire guy. He was like the head guy in some movie. And Mr. So-and-so, Mr. Abusive guy, my ex, was like, who cares? If we were in public, that guy wouldn't look at her twice. I don't care who she likes. No guy's ever gonna look at her twice or second look at her. No one's gonna want her. Like, who cares? I'm not jealous of that guy. That guy, she would never have a chance with anybody. She would never have a chance with that guy. So he would say really mean, disgusting, degrading, disgusting things to me. He also, as we progressed I noticed, like, it took us 5 weeks to finally sleep with each other, and he would pick me up every weekend. In the beginning, he would pay for all the gas. He would drive 3 hours out of his way, pick me up and drop me off. He'd pay hundreds of dollars every weekend to dish me out, wine, dine, 69, pay for everything. He was like, spend all his cash on me. Later on, I found out how he was paying for it, but yeah, so it was, yeah, so he did all the stops. So that's why I kind of stayed so long, is because he was very chivalrous and generous with his coint, but I didn't need his coint because my dad looked after me well. It was just like super, I noticed when we were getting into the sleeping together phase, you know, the sleeping together all the time, it was just like the SCX was weak as F. That was the weakest person I've ever F'd in my life. No cap. Worst, hands down, 100%. He would come in like 2 seconds, 3 seconds. We'd start and I'd finally, I got to the point where I was like, okay, I'm gonna be selfish this time, because he's selfish every single time. He's never letting me nut. He's always nutting all the fucking time in 2-3 seconds. Something's wrong with him down there. And it's because he has a broken root chakra. He has so much, he experienced so much sexual abuse from his older cousin that he had never healed from it. And he was so effed up in the root chakra. He couldn't keep it up. It was always gummy, like, you know, like flailing around halfway's up. He had hard times getting it up. And this is a young guy, you guys, that was healthy, 28. But the reason being is because he never dealt with the rapes that he used to experience from his older cousin, Corey. And I'm gonna say your name loud and proud because I hate your guts. Because you're not the only, you're a predator that's still running free in Muskeg Reservation Village, Corey, that preys on people. And so I used to envision going and kill it. Once my ex, Ike Turner, you told me like that he was raped really lots from his cousin, his older cousin. I used to envision grabbing a rifle gun and going into the village one night and shooting him. Why? Because no one would tell. He wouldn't be like, oh, rest in peace. You know how people all of a sudden give a shit for like 2 weeks about someone who passed away, even though you don't even like the person. It's just like your time to shine, so you act like you care about somebody. Honestly, that we would have had a couple of those, but for the most part, no one would have cared. It would have been a celebration, okay, if that guy would have died. Just like the clients I work with at my jail. I was just talking. I talk to him all the time. I should have never said his name just now, but I talk to him all the time. I have a lot of respect for him. He's like my uncle, and he was in residential school for 12 years. And my coworker, who's a Caucasian guy, asked him, when we do checks, why do you keep your light on and like this keys on the doorknob? Why do you do that? Why do you keep keys on the doorknob doesn't it wake you up? And James just told him, I was kidnapped and I was put in residential school for 12 years, and 6 of us boys had to take turns staying up because the night watchman would come in and take turns raping us. That is why I keep keys on my door, because for 12 years I lived in fear. And when that guy died, we all celebrated. But even when we celebrated, I kind of still felt bad we were celebrating. And I was like, don't feel bad for celebrating. I would have been so happy that rapist died. So that was like kind of like made me also stay with my abusive boyfriend, was because I felt sorry for him, because I was like, dang, he was raped really lots, like from his older cousin. Like he was really, really, like, that's traumatic. You know what I mean? Because that never happened to me when I was a kid. So imagine living through that. No wonder why he's really sad and hurt. And he'd pull that card all the time. Very handsome, successful guy, but sexual abuse does not discriminate. It happens in rich families. It happens in yellow, black, white, brown families. Sexual abuse does not discriminate. It comes from everybody, everywhere. You guys, women are sexual abusers also. Women are rapists also. So yeah, so he told me about this, and it really kept me from leaving him for a long time. It kept me from walking out because I felt so sorry for him. I was like, man, that's so sad. Like, I never experienced that. But I didn't know too much about the root chakra and how it relates to sexual abuse and how you got to let it free. Because like I said, the SCX was the wackest. It was the weakest. He was selfish. He would never, you know what I mean? It sucked. It sucked. Like, it was the worst. To this day, it's still the worst. Like I said, it was like 2 or 3 seconds and he'd be out, and he'd never keep it out. It was just gummy. It was like, and to start off, it wasn't even big. So but I was like such a emotional, like, oh, well, I love him. Well, I love him. It's not the sex that counts. It's like, because I love him. You know what I mean? I make excuses, and he was so abusive, cheating on me all the time. So it was so violent, you guys. Honestly, we got into such physical fights. There was this one when I was in Penticton. There was this one, I just had to check on myself, you know. There was this one scrap in Penticton. It would get really violent, and this is graphic, so skip ahead if you don't want to listen. But we got into it. I think I grabbed his cell phone, total Chris Brown and Rihanna moment, but I think I picked his cell phone out, and this is when I had turned 19 years old and he was 28, 29, and I grabbed his cell phone and I seen some pictures from a chick, and we started scrapping in the car. It was 5 in the morning, it was after a party. I think we were in a McDonald's parking lot or Tim Hortons parking lot. There's a lot of Tim Hortons. It's like the Canada Starbucks. Tim Hortons is really famous in Canada. Hit it up if you're in Canada. Anyways, I think we're in a parking lot there, and we're in a really rich city. And I looked at his cell phone. It was 5 in the morning, and of course we're both half cut. And he, what did he do? He got defensive because I busted him, and he grabbed the bottle, reached over and bottled me in the face. And I seen stars. I seen fucking stars, okay? And I've been punched worse in the face, if believe it or not, but that's a whole other video. I've been hit worse in the face, but that's another video. But I was seeing stars, and I was like, oh my God. And the bottle had all alcohol in it. It was like a 5% kokanee bottle, and it didn't break or anything. And I just seen stars, and that was it. Like, I just snapped finally. I was sick of him kicking me out of his house, throwing shit at me, hitting me. This one time I went to another city where he just moved to. Everywhere he'd moved to, I'd go move with him. Like, such a LOSE oozer of a kid I was. And he went to this new city, cheating on me, of course. And we got into a scrap. I busted these. I seen these pictures. We got into a scrap. I was naked. He tossed me around, and then he dragged me naked outside of the apartment building. And I was kicking and screaming, like that part in Tina Turner and Ike, kicking and screaming, all beat up. And he kicked me outside into the hallway naked. Like, just embarrassed me. He would always do that. He'd always strip me and like embarrass me all the time after hitting me, tossing me around. So I always had marks, black eyes, and I would lie. I'd be like, oh, I fell. Like, I fell down the stairs when I was drunk. And sure, my auntie this one time drove me all the way from the reservation, and she was like, why are you in an abusive relationship? I was in that before. And she gave me hell all the way from the half hour. Don't you ever settle for that. And just which I'm happy for, because my auntie Edna is like my second mother. Like, she's very hardcore strict. She had to sell drugs my whole life to really, she was a single mother of 7 kids, so she had to do what she had to do. Native First Nations woman, kidnapped from her childhood home, thrown into day school, got her language stripped away, beat up for speaking her language, all that kind of stuff. So I'm really close with my auntie. Anyway, so she yelled at me that one time all the way home. She was like, why are you in an abusive relationship? And I was still trying to lie about getting beat up. And she was like giving me, they can smell it. They knew me better than I knew myself. My mom, same thing. This one time I forgot to put makeup under my eyes to hide my black eyes. And she was like, Nimis, she calls me Nimis. Why do you have a black eye? 2 black eyes that time. And I was like, oh, I fell down the stairs and a purple cheek. I fell down the stairs. I forgot to put on my makeup. I forgot to put my makeup on, and I just went upstairs and I lied. So they kind of were sniffing around that I was in a very abusive relationship. But like I always say, the mental and the emotional abuse was worse than the physical beatings. I would rather get 20 physical beatings in a week than to go through that emotional and mental abuse, because that psychologically will F you up more than any physical beating. Anyways, so we were in Kelowna, like I said. He bottled me in the face with a bottle, and I just reached, that was the time, you know what, I just snapped. I snapped and I wanted to kill him. And so I just tore out of my seatbelt and I just went on him, and it was the rage, and I didn't stop. I didn't fucking stop, and I couldn't stop, and I just couldn't stop, and I just raged out, and somebody must have seen us going ham in the parking lot. All of a sudden, just as I was like scrapping with, or it was a long, I must have had a lot of anger. These 4 big trucks pull up. Up in Canada, we have RCMP trucks. So RCMP trucks pulled up and surrounded us, and there's like 5 vehicles so someone must have called the cops outside that seen us scrapping it out and beating each other up. And we were downtown, so it's easy for them to respond. So they came, surrounded us, and I sat back in the passenger side, and I had blood all over me. And he had blood all over him. But the thing was, the blood wasn't from me. It wasn't from me, because that time I only let him hit me 1 time, and nothing happened with that bottle. I just seen stars. The blood was from me. His nose was fucked up. His lips were all broken up. The blood was all from him. So the cops, RCMPs, all pulled up, and they looked at us, and they were like, oh my gosh, that guy just beat the F out of that woman, because I had blood all over me. He had blood all over him. And they ran his door open, and they just threw him down, and they started beating the shit out of him. And I was just like, oh my God, no, don't hurt him. Don't hurt him. No. Like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I was like, don't hurt him. That wasn't, so I was like, that wasn't him. It was me. I beat him up. Like, I was so in love. I was so in love. I was just so in love. He taught me, like, he took me to new places. He took me on vacations around the West Coast. So I was just like, yeah, you know, when you're young and dumb, you gotta be young and dumb to be old and wise. So that was the final, I think, the nail on the coffin. Also, the nail on the coffin is when this girl, the girl he was eventually that he married, and I don't know if they're still together, but he always cheats on her and shit. But bless their souls, I forgive you. Because she had 3 kids. The other woman that broke our relationship up, they ended up having 3 kids together, so they stay together obviously for the kids. But she ended up calling my house. My mom's first language is not English, and she was swearing at my mother. So I told her, camera just died. So I was like, look, you can say all you want about me all day long. I don't care, sticks and stones. But when it comes to my mom, bitch, you're dead. You're dead. On site. It's on site. I don't care who you are, in a school bus, at your house. I used to be such a violent teenager, you guys. I used to roll up on somebody's house, walk up to the door, and be like, let's go. Let's do this. That's how brutal I used to be. Such a troubled kid. I grew up in violence. It was my baseline. That's how I solved problems, was violence. To this day, I'm still not scared of nobody or anything. The other woman called my house. I woke up to my brand new sports car my dad had just bought me. I was 19 years old. My dad just bought me a brand new sports car for going to college, and all the tires were slashed. Brand new tires. Went and slashed all my tires. Calling my mom's house, and yeah, swearing at my mom, whose first language is not even English. She can't even respond. She doesn't even know what to say. She's never even heard such disrespect for such a long time. And my mom's the same way. My mom's an on-site kind of lady. My mom was one of the first people in Women's PA Penitentiary. So like, that crossed the line. That was it. So I was like, I called her and I was like, wherever you are, I will find you. And it's on site. You're dead. You are dead. And then she pressed charges on me. So that's what happened to that. Okay, so I never could get my licks in, and it was frustrating because I had a lot of anger issues in my heart. So that happens, and it was just a continuous. I would break up with him. I'd be like, no, you're a cheater. And then he would send me like a message saying, I only think of you on 2 occasions. And then I get the next message. That's day and night. Like, just a bunch of corny. And then I'd dumb me. I'd take him back. And then he was a brand new whip, and he would return it with no gas. He would go pick up his other chick, act cool in my sports car, because he was wheelless, bum at that point. And yeah, he was just such a bum and I was still, you know, it was a year and a half in, and I was like, what are we? Are we going to be together? He was sitting in my whip, and he's like, why do all you girls want to what do you got? Why do all you girls wanna, what is it? A label. Yeah, that's what he said. Why do all you girls want a label? And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, even in Edmonton, that's where he was living, she wants a label. And I'm like, what? You're still dealing with her? And that was the other woman. And then I busted pictures of them together the next week together. He was chilling out with her the day after me, wearing the same outfit. Or of the day of. So that was the nail on the coffin for me. I was brokenhearted. I felt at the time like the better woman won. You know what I mean? I felt like I was so psychologically messed up because he effed me up on the inside so much. And the picture that's on the cover, you guys, I've always been a fox my whole entire life. I've always been the baddest my whole entire life. But that picture in the beginning is how he that was me when I got out of the relationship. I was eating everything on sight, eating my feelings. I was drinking every single day from the PTSD from that relationship. So that picture in the beginning of this video is the aftermath of being in a year and a half physically violent. Mentally, emotionally, you will never do better. You're just going to be an ugly bum on welfare with 7 kids the rest of your life, like the rest of your family. That kind of stuff being said to me to beat me down. That picture was the aftermath of a violent, abusive relationship where a man beat me down psychologically so bad. It wasn't only the face he gave me, but it was the, like I always say, the words that put knives in my heart. And so that picture was the PTSD the year after of me drinking every day, eating every day. Meanwhile, he was gallivanting with the other woman who was just like, they were all happy and shiny and like, you know what I mean? But she's just as toxic. Like, it's almost like Sammy and Ronnie. You know that relationship with Sammy Sweetheart on Jersey Shore and Ronnie? How she like was so manipulative, so abusive, and then he got his karma afterwards when he was done abusing Sammy, done manipulating and beating Sammy down. He finally met his karma in Jen, that crazy chick he had his first child with. You know what I mean? Like, crazy, you know, you reap what you sow. You got to treat people with love and respect the way you want to be treated. So like, yeah, karma's a bitch. And you know what? I didn't even know I had this much anger still from that abusive relationship. I'm so happy I finally got the strength to leave. To finally leave forever. He got a hold of me, I think, 4 or 5 months after we finally, the last breakup. Because it was breakup, fighting, breakup, making up for like probably 7-8 months of the whole We were together almost a year and a half. Like maybe 16 months, and then most of it was just breaking up and making up, you know what I mean? Him lying, cheating all the time. And so I think the last time he got a hold of me was the 5 months after the last breakup, but I never responded back, and that was it. And then it was just, every time I would see him through the years, it was so cringy. I'd be like, ew, I can't believe, ew, I was so messed up over someone like that. And if anybody ever mentions when I go back home, oh, you were with him, I'm like, no, I wasn't. No, I wasn't with him. Stop lying. I wasn't with him. So to all my exes that live in Texas, if I slept with you, no, I didn't. Okay, if I slept with you, no, the fuck I didn't. So yeah, it's embarrassing now when someone's like, remember you were with him? No, I wasn't. Stop, liar. You know what I mean? Like, I'm fucking ashamed. So, but it's like I said, it's a part of me, and you know me, I'm a comedian, I joke. So yeah, it was messed up, you guys, but it was like, it took me a year, maybe 2 years, a long time to heal from that PTSD and trauma of that relationship. Stop flinching around, stuff like that from that relationship. It took me a long time to heal from. And that included that year of hating myself and drinking alcohol every day and eating everything every day and not loving myself. It took me a long time to fall back in love with myself after that abusive relationship, probably 2 years. And I went to treatment after that relationship. I went to fucking drug and alcohol rehabilitation because I was so unhealed from the trauma of that PTSD relationship. So I was 19 years old in rehab because of that relationship, 100%. So that picture in the front of the video is the PTSD of after that relationship. Then after 2 years, I went back to, you know, loving myself, but it took me a long time. I didn't know, like, that guy beat the shit out of me. So imagine someone being in a relationship like that for 20 years with kids. That would leave that person just an empty shell walking dead inside, you know? So it's best to leave right away as soon as you can. It's like the burning bed. A lot of our women do not get out of relationships unless they kill the person. And that's really, honestly, the only way out. Because if they don't kill them, they're gonna get killed, and that's just how it goes. So that's the story and how I left a very super abusive relationship, you guys. Also with the healing process, I didn't fully forgive him till 2 years ago. I had a healing releasing dream, and you know, I always ask Creator God, please God, let me heal through my dreams, because it's too hard to face the Reiki and the past life regressions awake. It hurts too much, and then it's like days of heartache. So I asked, but even when you heal, when you ask Creator to heal through your dreams, they'll send you the memories of the trauma through your dreams, and you still will have the Reiki effects and the emotional pain of their memory, because you need to remember all your traumatic memories and heal and feel 100% for the trauma to heal from your heart. So about 2 years ago, I had a dream about him, and I seen him, and he was getting violent with me at a party. This was 2 years ago. And I had so much anger and resentment towards him still, that talking smack to me. I don't know. I don't think I beat him up. I think I did, but I think I was, for damn sure, I was face to face with him, yelling in his face, F you, I'll get you, I was so mad 2 years ago. Still, I noticed I still had all these pain and resentment and anger towards him. 2 years ago, I finally had that dream where it showed me how much anger and pain I still had towards him. Like, I was yelling in his face, I'm gonna get you beat up, I'm gonna get you F the F up, I'm gonna get you done in, yelling in his face. Why? Because I had the power to, I could. And Creator showed me that vision, because it was like I had to see how much my subconscious was showing me how much healing and forgiveness I still had to do towards that person. When you do not forgive, you guys, you give that power away. You give that person the power to hold that anger and resentment in your heart chakra, because at the end of the day, that's where we hold all of our anger to our parents, to our abusers, is in our heart chakra. And that blocks from unconditional love and true love coming in. So why give the power to somebody else? And I speak to clients all the time. Like yesterday, I spoke to a client, and he was like, well, how can you forgive something unforgivable? Bitch, forgive. You can, there's ways to forgive, and just you don't have to invite them over for Sunday suppers. You can totally keep them away from your life forever. Love them from a distance, wish them well, but forgive. Because if you do not forgive, that person holds power over you. We hold anger and resentment in our hearts, cock blocking us from the unconditional love, the happy love that wants to come in. Because this is the way where the love enters, you guys, is through our heart chakra. This is where the love enters. This is also where we hold anger and resentment of our abusers that effed us up when we were children and younger. Or today, maybe you're just getting out of an abusive relationship or an abusive situation. Our parents can also be our karmic contracts and our worst abusers, that you're reincarnated in this life to finally break that bad cycle. You don't want to come back in another life and have to repeat a cycle with them. No, you don't. The moral of every single abuser, narcissist, empathic story is to break it. Clean cut, get the fuck away, run for the hills, forgive, let it go. So healing dreams, you guys, ask Creator to help you if it's too hard to do with it awake with the memories, because they are painful. Ask Creator to show you every single detail. You can do this in a past life regression also, or a Reiki session. Reiki session, pulling out all the trauma memories from each chakra. You can do it that way also. I do it through the dream world. And they will show you what still needs to be healed and brought up for your highest and greatest good on your path forward. So they showed me that 2 years ago, and I realized, wow, I'm still holding so much anger and resentment towards this person. I need to let that go. So I definitely worked on, after that, letting it go. So now when I see him, it could be totally cordial. I can be cordial. I'm going to see him a lot back home, because back home's is small. So I can definitely be cordial. I can be cordial with anybody who's hurt me in my past. That's my huge goal in life right now, you guys, is forgiving everyone who's ever hurt me or betrayed me, and just forgiving and letting go. That's because why? Because holding on to resentment and anger, sometimes we don't even know we're holding on to resentment and anger. So you really got to ask, really keeps you from your greatest and highest accomplishments and a greater love. 100% the most beautiful thing that keeps you young forever, you guys, is forgiving and loving yourself. Self-love and forgiveness. Forgive everyone from the past. I don't care how abusive and brutal they were to you. You guys, forgive. My mom tried to kill me twice. We can talk about that too also, but that was the #1 person who took me the hardest to forgive, my birth mom. My birth mom, not my mom, my grandmother, my birth mom. And that's a whole other video. That took me 31 years to finally forgive. And I honestly didn't even know I had that much. She was blocking me from my greatest and highest love. Baby, you can look like a Barbie all day long. You can look like a professional athlete all day long. But if you're holding anger and resentment towards a parent, you will never find healthy love because you're blocking your blessings without knowing it. You are, okay? So I love you so much, my beautiful baby. I thought I'd get this video out because I get a lot of questions about how do I leave a relationship. You just got to summon the strength to just walk away. It takes practice. You might break up 100 times, but eventually you'll leave. Just keep trying, okay? I love you so much and I'll see you next time on Cherish Love Talks.